I would like to welcome you all on behalf of Edureka for this webinar on Salesforce.com, which is the #1 cloud computing platform today, right? Both on the software as a service as well as platform as a service, offerings. So we are trying to understand the different developer tracks, how you can start your career in Salesforce. Uh, you could be from different backgrounds, right? So you could be from a Java JT background or a C Sharp, a .NET background, or you may be doing some of the web developments, Java, JavaScript, JSPs, servlets, right? Typical J2E setup, right? Where you have an app server. Most of you probably may be functional. Some of you may be functional consultants, right? You may be on Siebel or other CRM packages, or maybe on some of the CRM or ERP packages, right? HRMS and all that. So, or maybe you're on testing, right? You're into testing, functional testing, manual testing, and all of that. So, you'd like to make a career jump in terms of what you want to do something next, right? Something that's relevant in the market today, right? That's very hot in the market today in the cloud computing and mobility and analytics and social media space, right? The SMAC uh, space, so-called SMAC space. So before that, you can also keep typing in your questions in the question window. You can probably introduce yourselves and then also type, something that you're expecting out of this session, just to ensure that we try to address all your queries or doubts or concerns that you may have. I'll do my best to keep answering to those questions or pick a few questions, share it in the forum here, right? Share it across the table and then answer them so that it benefits all the folks. So that would be the typical format. So rest assured that we'll try to answer all the questions by the end of the session, or if we are unable to complete it, answering all the questions, we'll definitely write back to you on your email IDs, right? So that would be the typical understanding as far as question and answers are concerned. You don't have to reserve it to the end of the session. We want you to keep typing in. So just keep punching in your questions as and when you get something in your mind. Feel free. And if you think you want to talk, I can unmute you towards the end of the session. We'll reserve some time and we'll see if we can unmute and let you talk. Also, I'll be more than happy to do if we have time towards the end. So today, apart from showing you some of the career options and all, we'll also be showing you some typical Salesforce features, demos, right? Some basic components or the features of Salesforce. We'll show you some demo, and that would be the format for the day today. Right? We'll not be going through only a standard PPT. We'll try to show you some of the features and see how probably you can relate to your technologies or your knowledge functional area that you're all working on, right? We'll try to cover a few basic features here, right? So with that, we'll quickly move on to the slides. So just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Devanan Manirao. So I've been in the IT industry for the last 18 years or so, right? I was heading the Salesforce practice at Infosys till January 2015. Since then, I've moved on. I'm a freelance consultant now. I help a few organizations, small organizations in Salesforce delivery, pre-sales and practice building. And apart from that, I also conduct the trainings. I have 2 certifications in Salesforce, and I also conduct, the advanced topics like Apex and Visualforce and integration also, right? Apart from the basic foundation level or the functional tracks, right, where you have some of the functional tracks. We'll be anyway explaining to you about all the tracks available. So that's in a nutshell about me. I don't want to spend too much time talking about me at this point of time. We'll get into what Salesforce is, right? I think that's what you will be more interested in. So we'll try to understand what cloud computing is, what is Salesforce, how does it fit into that whole scheme of thing, what is Salesforce 1, Force.com, and are they all same, you'll keep hearing Salesforce, or you'll keep hearing about SFDC, you'll hear about SF1 or Salesforce 1, you'll hear about force.com, right? So these are typical names or the jargons which will keep coming around, right? We'll try to see what they are, right? Are they all same? Are they all slightly different? Right? What are the different learning tags available? Like I said earlier, what is the duration? Then what external certifications are available? Right? So Salesforce has certain industry standard certifications, and all our courses are aligned. The curriculum that we conduct is aligned in perfect alignment with the external certification curriculum that is recommended by Salesforce. We'll also quickly talk about some of the job prospects and live demos, right? And if you feel you want to add a few more items, please, like I said, feel free to type in the questions. In the question window, you will see I think a question window on your webinar application, right? So just go ahead and type in if you have more questions. It's something specific to you, right? We'd like to hear about you guys a little bit, right? Maybe I'm sure I can see your names. So maybe a quick introduction about your overall IT experience, what you're doing now, and whatever you can share without compromising any confidential information. It will be kept confidential. It's not going to go to others, but still, whatever you feel is appropriate, you can share with us about you, right? So, we'll start with some simple example, right? So all of us, I'm sure, we would have ordered pizza, or we would have made an attempt to prepare pizza ourselves at home, right? So let's look at what happens, right? So typically, I'm sure you are seeing there are four pillars or four columns, right? So on the right extreme, you see all green, right? Where you typically try to eat out, right? You don't want to take the pain of doing anything. You try to maybe get it delivered. I think I'm sure a lot of people do that on Fridays or over the weekends, right? And some people would like to try themselves some of those adventurous types, or maybe some would like to do everything at home. I think that's a rarity nowadays, at least in terms of eating food, not just pizza, whatever we eat nowadays, right? Good food, bad food, junk, whatever it is, right? So we don't really want to put all the effort in preparing or having our own stuff. But of course, each one has its own pros and cons, right? So thanks. I think some of you are putting in your introductions. Thanks for that. Good to see a wide range of people with wide range of experience and technologies. Keep typing in. I would take a look, and then if there are any questions, I'll be happy to also answer them. Keep doing that. Thank you for that. So let's come back to a pizza, example, right? So I'm sure all of us can relate to this diagram uh, in terms of what you would have made or tried in the past, or planning to do it in the maybe in the recent future, right? Maybe this coming weekend also. So you know we look at we have a typical infrastructure at home, right? So at the bottom, maybe you have some of the key ingredients, right? You need a cheese, you need toppings, you need tomato sauce, you need pizza dough, then the fire, oven, electricity, the gas, then your dining table and all that. So basically, dine out, I'm sure the picture is very obvious. uh, you don't take the effort of doing anything, you just pay for it and then uh, go and eat out, or any service for that matter, right? Not just eating pizza. Things that come into our homes, our broadband, our internet connections, or telephone connections, be it a landline or mobile, or TV connections, right? Or maybe you go out and use a public transportation. You pay a monthly fee, right? So everything is a service nowadays, right? So be it you're consuming at home as a maybe a mobile user or an end user of a smartphone or internet, or be it you go out and use some of the services, right? So maybe a public transport maybe even making better sense, right? So we don't want to really be struggling with our own. vehicles on the roads. I think just as recent as yesterday or today, I think in New Delhi, I think there is a new rule which has come in, right? So people want to avoid taking their cars out on alternate days. Or I think people, if you're living in London, I'm sure you would have paid your congestion charges. So there is a general encouragement from the public authorities or the governments to make people use the transportation service, right? You just pay for the service, you don't care. There is a SLA defined, right? A minimum quality of service and SLA. You don't have to worry about having your own vehicle, paying the premium for the insurance, or having a driver, or having, to maintain the vehicle, all of that, right? Or say take the case of Uber or Ola, right, in India. So people are talking about it so affordable over a period of time. Maybe people will think, why should I even buy a car, right? I heard about someone in Singapore talk about this, right? Someone who's a big shot. He feels, why would I need a car? Because I get, Uber just on my smartphone. I just order it and that comes, and it's so cheap, right? If you look at the total cost of ownership of having your own vehicle, Visa was just using service. Probably over a period of time, it may become very cheap and affordable, right? So similarly, if you look at, I'm sure all of you would have understood this example now. Let's go back or go to an IT example here, right? So if you look at the traditional world that we have all seen for the last maybe 20, 30 years, right from the mainframe days or Unix and Linux days or Windows, right? Or, Mac OS and any other OS, right, that you would have used, or any other typical infrastructure that a customer, right, let's say a bank, right, or a telecom company, so they will have their own networking equipment, storage equipment, servers, right? All of these are hardwares, right? And then you have your own data center, right? Which is probably not specifically mentioned in this diagram, but you have your own data center, right? Where you have to have that real estate space or rent it out, put in your people, maintain it, air conditioning, cooling of the equipments, power supply, backup power supply, disaster recovery options, failover, business continuity planning, all of that you'll have to worry about, right? So huge team that has to be in place. I myself remember working for a large telecom customer around 2005 to around almost 2009 up to 2009, where we were maintaining 3 data centers. We were maintaining the application infrastructure, the technical infrastructure. So even if you want to increase your computing capacity, right? So we'll have to order new servers, get the budget approved, get it delivered. HP, you go to order, with HP, then the servers are delivered to the data center. You get someone to, right from wire the servers, wire the cables, networking cables, connect the storage, right? Networking storage. You have SAN, NAS, everything. That alone will take maybe 3 months to get ready, right? The basic servers. Before you can even log in from your command prompt or from Telnet, it takes 3 months, right? It used to take 3 months for just waiting, right? Then you install operating system, database layer, middleware, WebLogic, WebSphere, and whatnot, right? Then you have to take care of your creation of the table space if you're in Oracle or SQL Server, everything. It's a huge list of things that you have to do, right? Then probably if you look at the second block, infrastructure as a service, probably some of that headache is avoided, right? You utilize the existing infrastructure, you pay for it, and then build the next level of layers, right? The operating system, middleware, runtime, whatever, database, data, all that applications you build it. Then if you look at the third block, right, platform as a service. Um, so as the diagram says, right, so you even get everything available, right? You just have to worry about building your database and applications. The last one, everything is available as a service. Just worry about your business, right? And there is a huge cut in the dependency on the core IT teams, and that's the future, right? Today, that's how it's been in the last 7 or 8 years, and it's going to become more and more lesser dependency on the IT folks, right? And that's inevitable. So, what is Salesforce, right? Salesforce or Salesforce.com. So, Salesforce started off in 1998, 97, somewhere in that period, right? 98, 99. So they are an 18 to 19-year-old company. They started off as a Salesforce CRM, right? It was more of sales cloud, service cloud, all that. So customer relationship management is what they started off as a functional offering, right? So some of you have worked on Siebel or any other CRM product or typical any customer facing, right? I'm sure all of you would have called a call center for some problem or other with your phone or with your internet connection, or maybe some booking your tickets, all that, right? Airlines. So everywhere you'll have a call center or a contact center, whatever it is being called as. So you have a customer data, you buy some things, you buy a laptop, you buy you know a phone or a electronic gadget, and the sale happens, and then you're entering in as a customer, you're tracked as a customer. The retailer or the bank closely follows you, right? They monitor all your activities, your lifestyle changes. They offer you new things, right? It could be a bank which offers you a sales, a savings account. Then probably they'll give you a checking account or a credit card, debit card. They'll give you a loan, right, for a car or for a home, right, a mortgage loan, whatever it is, right, depending on your lifestyle and your way you're moving in your life. So all of this is basically customer relationship management, right? You provide cross sell, you sell more things to them. So Salesforce started off as a CRM package, right, on the SaaS layer, right? So more on the SaaS. Then they also have this option of building your own custom apps, right? So they provide everything to you. You just build a custom application. Say you can build a simple HRMS function or a hire to retire, typically using Salesforce, right? So you can just use the out of the box, the platform, build on top of it, and then continue, right? So these are some numbers, right? So uh, Salesforce 1 is nothing but a latest version. I should not say it's the latest version. It's basically refers to the mobile and the social mobile analytics and the cloud, right? The confluence of all of this, and there were a few other things. I'll show you a diagram explaining what the Salesforce one means, how it has evolved over the years, right? And then of course they also support Internet of Things and connected devices, all of that. So they are a very quickly, very rapidly growing company, around 30% compounded annual growth, right? They the target is to become a 20 billion company very soon, in the next 5 to 6 years, whatever. Right. So let's take a look at the platform quickly before I jump into some demos. Right. Before I show you some of the features. So if you look at the diagram here, right. Um, this is basically some of the key building blocks. Okay. So you see at the top, these are the customers, right? Customer facing, the line of or the agents, right? And then you have these blocks which talk about sales cloud, service cloud, and all this. So this is where everything started off long time back, right? These blocks, right? The force.com is the core platform where it's a self-sufficient database. It has its own app layer. Then it has the sales cloud and service cloud modules. And then, of course, the app exchange. This is similar to your Play Store, right? Google Play Store or Apple stores, where people build their own apps, publish them on this marketplace for free or for paid, and then people can use it along with the platform, right? It could be an accelerator or it could be a productivity improvement tool. it could be some functional tool also, right, which may be addressing the gap in Sales Cloud and Service Cloud provided by a third party vendor, right? Then recently, right, maybe in the last 2 to 3 years, so they started addressing some of the gaps. Say, for example, they acquired a company called Exact Target Marketing Cloud, right? So this also had a SaaS and a PaaS layer, kind of, right? Not exactly like Salesforce, but they do have these sort of layers. Then they also have this platform which is called as Heroku, where you can run Java code as is, right? You can lift and shift existing Java apps and put them on Heroku on the cloud, right? So you have three blocks, right? Three building blocks of the platform layer, as well as some there are four blocks that you can see at the top, which is basically the pass layer, right? So this would be the you know the sorry the SaaS. This would be the SaaS layer, right? And this is the kind of the pass layer, right? So if you build on top of this, so you can have your own custom app here, right? So you may be running your build a custom app, say a hire to retire, or nowadays they have some of the products like community cloud, or they have the wave analytics cloud. So all of this is built on this platform, right? So when they came with the Salesforce one theme, right, so the theme was about integrating all these things they have, right, where you have huge options, right? You have force.com as one of the key options. Then you have Heroku, where you can use Java or Ruby, or I think Python is also supported. Right, some of the standard programming languages, right? And they also address some gap in the functional layer, right? Marketing layer and all that. So this is how the platform has evolved. So this is what is force.com is about, right? At the layer bottom. And Salesforce Zone is more of an all-encompassing umbrella term which refers to all these building blocks, right? And force.com is just this particular block on top of which you can build your own custom apps. So let's try to spend some time on the platform itself, right? Let's log in and see how it works. So these are some of the options you have, right? You have declarative options. Uh, you can create your own database. You can, it's almost 100% typical RDBMS. You create a master detail relationships. You create many-to-many relationships. You have custom, hierarchical relationships, or you have your data model wherein you have some columns of different data types, right? Standard primitive data types. You have triggers, right? All of them. Then you have business logic where you can have standard functions. You can automate processes, right? Hire to retire process. You can have an approval process, workflows, or sending email alerts, right? Or making a call to an external system, right? A web service call out. And there is a standard UI which can be created, or which is created to a certain extent automatically, right? When you create the data objects, and reports and dashboards, then you have mobility access. So all of this is point and click, okay, declarative options. So once you have exhausted the options, right, you may have complex requirements, which probably you cannot meet with your declarative options, right? So the good thing about Salesforce is they have targeted all customer segments, right? They targeted SMB segment, right? Small, medium businesses, which may have just 10 people, 20 people, 100 people running things on Excel sheets. They moved them to Salesforce, right? Then they started, probably the customers started growing. They had more people, more business. Salesforce also has grown along with them, right? Or they have also targeted large enterprise customers, right? The way Oracle and SAP have built their enterprise business, right? Big names, all the whatever, your Forbes, whatever big names, in any vertical you take, banking, insurance, retail, right? Telecom, uh, pharma, manufacturing, any large industries, right? All big names today have Salesforce. Take Coca-Cola, take Bank of America, American Express, maybe Telstra, right? AT&T, DirecTV, Motorola, Pfizer, right? Any big name, Novartis, any of the big names. These are all publicly available names, right? Case studies that Salesforce keeps talking. Or Groupon, Facebook. In India, you take, I think, uh, many of the startups are using Salesforce. Oyo Rooms, Snapdeal, some of those names that I know. There are some public sector non-profit organizations are also using it, right? Okay. So there are also programmatic options, right? Once you exerted declarative, right? So you have Apex programming language, which is typically a object-oriented programming language. So those of you who are comfortable with Java or C# can easily learn this. And if you're new to it, no issue, need not worry, because say many of you may be having a lot of experience in other technologies. So you may feel, how do I suddenly jump into Apex and VF? So you don't have to jump into it right away. You learn all the declarative options. Uh, you can decide you want to really become too technical or not. Say there are enough functional options or administrative options that are available, right? So you have basically three tracks, right? I'll be talking about them. So there is something for all sort of roles, right? Be it a designer, be it a senior hardcore developer, you're an expert in Java, C#, or you're a senior executive, senior professional, you have very good experience in different domains, and you want to pick something which is not too heavy programming, right? So declarative world is good enough, very big enough, and you can spend your time there, and then you can slowly become a functional consultant, right? Or you may be managing a team of Salesforce projects along with maybe you're an analytics expert, right? Or a BI expert. So you want to, this combination is really strong, analytics, BI, and Salesforce, right? So a lot of customers move data between all these. There is a lot of scope for integration, right? Integrating your cloud Salesforce app and the SAP backend, or your Oracle backend, mainframes, web services, right? So all of that is possible here, right? And then similar to Oracle or SQL Server, you also have a query language, right? Like SQL, they call it SOQL, right? Salesforce Object Query Language. You can write standard select statements. You can perform DMLs, right? Insert, updates, deletes. Sometimes you call it CRUD, right? Or you have a standard search language. You can search for text across the platform, right? Then of course it supports APIs, REST and SOAP APIs. You can use XMLs or JSONs, web services, all of that, right? Email services, quite a few things. So probably, I'll skip this slide for now. I'll come back to this, right? So this is, I'll maybe touch upon this for a quick minute. So this is like, since it's a public cloud platform, you would have heard about public cloud, private cloud, or a hybrid cloud, right? So public cloud, basically it's like you're living in an apartment, right? So you have a metadata driven architecture, right? So there is something which is specific to the tenant, and some is which is common metadata, right? And the infrastructure, the servers, the services, many of them may be shared, but it doesn't mean there are a lot of constraints, right? It doesn't mean that it's very bad. I'll show you the number of transactions that happen in a day, right? I'll just quickly show you what happens in Salesforce world, right? So this is just a quick view on what Salesforce is all about. So this is status of all your production instances which Salesforce maintains themselves. You don't have to worry about as a customer, right? But you will know where you are running up to certain extent, which geography and all that. So see the number of transactions that have happened so far today, right? And this is the typical timeline, right? Transaction timeline, and they're showing you all instance status, right? So these are all the instances or the environments which are available in the North America region, right? 41, maybe up to number 41. And then you have some in APAC, then you have in EMEA, right? So it looks like there was some small issue here, right? These are all the developer sandboxes that are with the customers, right? These are non-production environments. So they give you this dashboard, real-time dashboard. Okay, what happens? Uh, they give you all the details, right? They give you a calendar of releases. They do not take any outage at all when there is a major release in Salesforce. Salesforce comes with a new release every 4 months and absolutely no outage to the customer. How they manage is with this architecture, metadata driven and multi-tenant architecture. So when to do the upgrades, right, it's very seamless, unlike a typical SAP, Oracle, or any other platform upgrade. It runs for 6 months, right? A new version. You move from Oracle maybe 10G to whatever 12G or whatever is there today. Right? WebLogic operating system upgrade. It's a nightmare to run those projects, and you don't know whether you really run all your test cases, right? Whereas when Salesforce upgrades from one version to another version, they run all your test cases. That's the beauty of the platform. You just need to ensure you have written your test cases, unit test cases. Okay, they run it on your behalf before they apply a release to your particular instance that you purchased from them, right? Or you subscribed from them. So you need not run a separate project for all of this, right? And the reason they have done is, if I got to give a comparison, right? So like let's say you have a large apartment with multiple people, different flats, you do have a flexibility to rearrange your layout, your flat layout, right? Apart your flat layout. But certain things you cannot completely realign, right? Say for example, your plumbing, right? Your pipelines or your kitchen, certain facilities in your flat has to be aligned with all the tenants, right? You cannot have your kitchen right in the middle of your flat, and whereas maybe all the people below and above you have the kitchen in some other corner of the flat, right? That is basically common metadata, right? So you cannot simply alter the entire layout. Whereas within your room, you can decide what you want to keep. You can decide the color, the attributes of your rooms, how they look and feel, and what sort of flooring you want, what sort of furniture you want to keep, the quality, material, whatever, right? To a certain extent, you have flexibility, and to a certain extent, you have to comply with the overall generic framework, right? So that's typically how you can do here also, right? So people who have been in IT or overall, right? So I'm sure many of us would have heard this MVC, right? Model View Controller Pattern. So typical pattern in any Java or C.NET based, Java JT based, anywhere, right? Any web based PHP or open source, right? Anywhere you would have seen this, right? You have a database, that's a data model, right? Data object, database, all that. Then you have the view, right? User interface, wherein the user interacts with the application, right? On the browser, on your laptop, on your mobile, using different components from the platform. Then you have the controller layer, right, where it basically all the business logic, everything is there. That's your middle layer, which controls the flow of data between your UI and the database, right? So typically, irrespective of your technology, right, be it mainframe or AS400 or any technology, JavaScript based, pure open source, maximum you can do only four things, right? Add, modify, delete, or view. There is nothing else you do, right? Or you exchange information between different systems. But ultimately, even that exchange of information is triggered by an update or an insert or maybe a delete is also rare. Out of the four, right? CRUD, CRUD, right? You do only create mostly, right? Reads and then updates. Even delete is very minimum, right? So all you do is all you do is these 4 operations. It doesn't matter which technology, what it is, right? So Salesforce is no exception. So it complies with the MVC pattern, right? It has all these components that you can build. Um, I'll quickly show you how it looks, right? So let's switch to an environment. This is our how the Salesforce UI looks. Okay, so this is a web UI, right? The classic UI, the so-called classic UI, uh, wherein you know, let's say this is a user view, right? This is a user view, and this is more of a developer view. Okay, I'm showing you a demo from a developer environment, developer organization, which is product free, uh, lifetime free, right? So here you basically build your own apps or look at some of the existing apps, right? So I just have a question here. Uh, I think it's on this MVC. So I mentioned that you know, you can write a Java servlet, Java bean, and all that. So basically, why I highlighted here is many of you would have, you would have heard about writing your controllers and all those in Java and all that. So if you're using only the force.com platform, okay, you probably cannot write a Java program, right? You have to use Apex and Visualforce, right? So basically, these are the standard and custom controllers that you can create in Salesforce, right? Or you have something called a Visualforce page. And apart from using a standard Visualforce page, Salesforce does support, uh, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all Java JS libraries, right? JavaScript libraries like Angular.js, Node.js, Bootstrap. There are several other libraries. So all these JavaScript libraries are also supported. So that's the good thing about Salesforce, right? They don't restrict you to only use their own native UI. You can come with your own JavaScript based UI and just embed it inside your Visualforce page, right? And recently they have launched something called Lightning Pages, right? Some of you might have heard about it. It's called Salesforce Lightning Platform. So where they allow you to do a heavyweight JavaScripting. The good thing is people who are uh, already on JavaScripting and web developers, right? You are experts in Angular.js or Node.js. You have a very quick, easy way to learn Salesforce, right? So that's one good thing about the way they support the standard web technologies, right? All standard web technologies, be it at the UI layer or be it at the interfacing layer, right? Everything is supported by Salesforce. So let's look at some of the building blocks. Okay, I'll show you the building blocks on the screen, and you can keep typing in your questions, right? Just feel free to just type in your questions. Thanks for the question. Anyway. So let's take a quick look. Let me just highlight some of them, right? So these are basically the tabs. Okay, sorry, it looks a bit awkward, but just bear with me. So what I'm highlighting is, let's say, home, charter, campaign, leads, accounts. So these are some of the standard tabs. Okay, this is basically the most important UI element in Salesforce, right? So when you click on accounts, right? So this is basically, I'm using the app called Sales Cloud. Okay, so these are the standard apps which are available. So I can click on marketing. You see the tabs change, right? I'll just show you this once more. So just observe when I toggle between sales, you see more tabs, right? So when I click on accounts, it shows me a list of accounts, right? This is my UI, right? It shows me contacts, it shows me opportunities, contracts, orders, right? So these are standard objects. These are my standard tables, so-called tables, right, in your RDBMS terms, which are available to me, right? Let's say this is my app. This is called a student master app. This is a custom app, okay, that I have created myself, okay. So you'll observe there are some tabs called student master. If I click on say students, it will show me a list of students, right? And you know, this is just to track a list of students in a particular university, okay. So these are accounts, right? Then you have the home tab. So these are all basically simple UIs, right? And I'll show you how a simple object can be created, okay. So when you click on setup here on the top, okay, on the top here, you see a menu list of menu items here. This is more of an administrator or a developer view, right? Mostly an IT person would see this, not this sort of a view. This is more of an end user based view, right? So here, if you look at it, you have the force.com home, right? So you have administer, and you have all these options, right, where I can see manage users, apps, all of these, okay. Then I have the standard build options, right? I can customize existing objects or tables, create new apps, new objects, new reports, new tabs, new workflows and approvals, right? All of that. Then I have options to develop Apex class, right? An Apex trigger. So I'll show you a quick demo of an Apex class and a trigger. So before that, I'll just show you a simple UI, right? So this is my student master UI, right? And then if I click on accounts, I click on a link here, one of the rows, which shows me details, right? So this is basically the UI which has pulled data from the database and it is displaying on the screen. So if I click on edit, I'm going to make some changes here, right? Say, let's say hot, warm, cold. Maybe I'll just select some of the drop down boxes, right? In Salesforce, it is called a quick list. This is SFDC demo, right? I'll click on save, right? Those changes have been saved, okay? And if you see here, you have links to your the Twitter feed or Facebook page of this particular account or this particular customer, right? You can directly go to those. Since I've given some dummy names, you'll not find anything on Twitter here. But of course, when you use real customers, you will see those details. Okay. Then, uh, you know, you might have observed that at the top, right, we had contacts, right? Uh, then we had a few more tabs here, right? Opportunities and all that. So these are all related lists, right? These are related objects, right? Contacts, opportunities, cases, and all that. So I'll show you a schema builder here, right? You can just do a quick find. So there is something called a schema builder which shows you the relationships between different objects, right? Uh, in a UI. So let's take account, um, contact, contract, then opportunity, right, and leads. So these are some of the objects that you probably want to see, right? So we can remove some of the unwanted ones, which probably are not of interest to us, right? So this is your lead, right? Then you can just move around here. Then you can see all your objects. So it shows the relationship between the objects, right? So there is a lookup relationship between lead and account, right? So this is my main object in sales module. Then I have an opportunity object and I have a contract, right? So all of this can be created, right? So you can create a new object here, Okay, you can just drag and drop, right? My demo object, right? I'm just leaving the remaining things with the default values, right? Since we're just doing a simple demo. Okay, I just created a new object. Okay, and you can drag and drop a few fields, right? Say date of demo, right? Just click on this. Okay, so I can keep I'll just zoom it out a little bit so benefit of people to see this clearly. uh, so this is my object that I have created. Okay, then I can create a relationship between two objects. Say for example, I want to relate this to be to an account object, right? So this is like say demo to account, right? This is the relationship that I'm trying to build, right? If you observe, I created a relationship here, right? Quickly, I have created a relationship here, and you can see what type of relationship this is, right? So this is a master detail relationship. Most of you would have heard about a master detail relationship. So it's so easy to create an object, right? So you have drag and drop options. You also have a standard option, right? Where let's say I go to this menu, right? Build menu. I'll click on create objects. You can see the object that we created. Okay, um, we gave a name. Yeah, my demo object, right? So here, sorry, I just had a small disturbance. So here, we have created this object, right? My demo object. These are the properties of the object. Okay, so these are some standard fields, and then it has some custom fields that we created, right? We created a date field, then we created a master detail relationship, right? Then you can have some validation rules. Say for example, uh, right, a date demo in the past, right? So I can give a small description. Date cannot be beyond 1st December 2015, right? So something like that. And then I click on insert field, right? So this is my demo object. I'll select this field, right? Date of demo. If the date of demo is, these are my functions. Okay, so I'll select today. Say today, I'm just hard coding a value here. You probably need not do that, but just for the sake of doing it, I'm doing here. I'll click on check syntax, no errors found, right? So what it does is the field date demo, whatever value you entered, it cannot be less than today minus 10 days. So today is 10th December, so it should not be some date in November, right? Then you can say, you can give a message here, right? Something like that. Then you decide where you want to define this error. Okay, I'll just say at the top of the page, right? So let me just quickly go here. Okay, I've created a simple object, and then I have, you know, I need to now make it available on the UI, right? So I created an object, I put a small validation rule. Now I want to test it, right? I want to just quickly see how I can create a tab. Okay, I'll create a tab here. I'll create a new tab. for the object that I created, my demo object. I'll select a style for the tabs. Let's say I'll take an aeroplane or something. Okay, I'll click on next. Ignore these default values here for time being. We don't have much time to worry about it. Since we have too many objects, it has come here. Let me pick a simple app where there are lesser tabs. Okay. So if you observe here, my demo object is the object that we created. We have also created a tab for it, right? Let me just create a new record. Okay. I'm going a little fast here because it's difficult to explain beyond this in a demo, right? But during a class, we'll be going even much slower, right? We'll not be going this fast, but we'll be explaining to you literally line by line, one by one, right? There will be a slow-paced demo. Yeah, there are a few questions. Okay, so yeah, you will be receiving a recording of this demo, whatever I done, and I think you'll also get the PPT, right? I think you'll get it. Whoever has registered, I think you'll get that, right? I think within a 5-6 hour window you should get it, right? So there are few questions about the US market, right? The market in India and US. So the market is very hot. You can search for the jobs. The salaries are very good, right? Compared to any other technology. Maybe it may be at least just at par with some of the hottest areas, right? Your big data, data scientist. But here the entry point is very easy compared to those, right? Because there you need to get into a bit of, you should have been in BA or you should have been a data science, you should be a statistician. There are a lot of challenges there. And of course, it depends on the individual preference, but here you can enter in as an administrator in the US, right? And then you can keep moving up the value chain. That's one good thing about Salesforce, right? The entry point is relatively easy. And India, of course, there is a difference. The reason is in India, most of the development work happens in India, right? So definitely they're looking for experienced people. Having said that, if you're good in Java JD or if you're good in a specific area, right, a functional area, definitely there is scope. But I won't say it's a cakewalk. Say definitely getting in as an administrator or a functional consultant in the US is definitely easy in terms of difficulty, right? And of course, if you're good in .NET, Java JD, if you're a good web developer, fairly easy. And there are many companies that I know who are hiring people directly and just if they know some exposure to Salesforce, they are reskilling them and quickly taking them. So you have different options, and of course, if you are completely, uh, say out of touch with technology, you're not fully hands-on. You can take an admin, then you can do a Sales Cloud or Service Cloud certification, right? So Sales Cloud is basically the sales module, right, for the sales and marketing space, where you track opportunities and all that. So if you've seen here, you would have seen these are some of the typical components or functionalities in a sales module. And if you look at call center, it's all about tracking cases, right? Cases, solutions. It's more of after sales service, right? So, we'll just take a look at what we did, right? My demo object. I'll click on new here. I'll just say test. Then I'll select, okay, I think I just need to get the date field here. Okay, we'll just quickly do that. So I'll show you one more simple developer feature, right? Uh, so basically it's called as a page layout, right? So a page layout is nothing but your screen that you're seeing, okay? So whatever you're seeing here, right, this UI is automatically created for you, right? So that's one really cool thing, because you don't have to manually create all this UI and all that. This is a out of the box functionality, okay? the UI comes in automatically. Okay, so now let me just select a date in the past, right? I'll say sample, and this is the relationship to the account, right? We have linked it to the account object, right? Let me click save. Let's see what happens. So if you look at this error, right? This is a validation we have put in, right? The date of demo should be in December or in the future, right? Not in the past. Okay, so this is a simple demo. Okay, so I'll show you one more very quick thing. I see a lot of people typing in some questions. Thanks for that. I'll also be answering them soon, right? I've just picked up some generic questions and answered them. If there are anything very specific to you folks, we'll come back to you with a reply, right? So let's look at this particular student master. Okay, so this is a student app that we have created. Okay, and we have tried to put in a custom UI here. Okay, so this is a student object. Okay, so here if you see, we have selected so many different fields, right? A checkbox, a formula field, right? A pick list value, then a text, encrypted text for credit card numbers, date of joining, department is a pick list, right? List of values, all of that, right? So you also have validation rules. You have a trigger, right? A database trigger. So let's just take a look at that. Okay. So this is the UI which has opened up for showing you the marks. Okay. So the UI is much better than this. This is just a custom work that we have just done for sake of showing here. Let's say these are the marks of the students. Okay. So if you look at this, these are the marks the student has got in a particular exam, right? So let's say we just change this just for the demo purpose. Okay, so if you look at this value is automatically, so yes, failed, right? And then the UI here is a list of things that you see, right? So it's just a summary of the fields that are there. So this is something similar to what you see in a dashboard, right? And then we can also customize what you see, right? In terms of it could be a standard page or it could be a Visualforce page, right, that you have created. So we'll switch to a default page here for the student master just for the sake of the demo. I'll open a particular record, right? So these are the values for that particular student, right? So he is in status of active, he is in the US, right? These are his credit card detail. If you see, it's an encrypted field, right? These are his marks, this is department, right? So if you look at this is a welcome message. Okay, welcome to the cloud. We have just put this on the field here. You can also send an email to the student, right? So let's say I change the department to CSC, right? And click on save. You'll observe that uh, you know this has automatically changed. Okay, so this can be achieved with the declarative programming options, uh, which is called as workflow rules, right? Which can trigger when you perform an edit or an insert on the object, right? Or you can also write a trigger. Okay, so there are different ways to write code in Salesforce, right? So for example, so this is a piece of code, okay, which is executing when you create a new student. So if you see this is a trigger called welcome student on student master object. Before insert and before update. So those of you who have written triggers in SQL Server or PLSQL, right, in Oracle, you will be able to relate to this, right? We'll be explaining this in detail. So this is a trigger, right, wherein we are updating a field. We are calling a class and a method in the class, and this is the method, right? This is the class and the method in the class, right? We are just populating some fields here. This is just for the purpose of the demo, right? If you observe, welcome to the cloud university is what you see here, right? This particular value or the field was updated by this piece of code. Okay, it has appended the student department also. If you see, welcome to updated CSC, right? So let's say I edit it back to IT. You'll observe that the message is also changing. So in fact, you can send an email also to the student, welcome to the new department or whatever, right? All of that. And I'll show you one more thing. There are certain calculations which are happening automatically. It shows number of subjects failed, number of subjects passed. Okay. So this is achieved automatically. Okay. You don't have to write any code. Okay. He has failed in this subject. Okay. So if I go to this student, okay, if you look at it, it has automatically shown that number of subjects failed is 2, number of subjects passed is 1, right? This is a value for that particular subject, right? So I can, let's say he has passed, okay? We may probably create a new record. Here I'm just updating for the sake of the demo, right? So if you look at this, it will show that he has passed in 2 subjects. His marks has increased, right? His average has increased. It shows you the subject that he has passed. Okay. So these updates have been achieved automatically without writing a single line of code. Average marks, total marks, number of subjects failed, number of subjects passed. Whereas this piece of welcoming message was achieved with a custom code. Okay. Just for demo purpose we have done this. This can also be achieved without writing a single line of code, but when you start doing complex calculations, right, the programming language comes to your help, right? It gives you more power in terms of what you can do, right? So for example, there is another program we have written. It is again a simple piece of line, right? It just says if the mark is less than 0, the value is invalid. If it is more than 100, it's invalid. If you're greater than or equal to 40, it's qualified. Less than 40, not qualified, right? One final feature I'll show you on the demo, and then I'll quickly finish up the slides and take some questions, right? If you guys don't mind, we'll take a few more minutes here, right? So one important thing I told you about Salesforce is the code coverage, right? Or the unit tests. Okay. So for every class or every Apex class that you've written, you need to write a test class. Okay. So this is basically nothing but your test driven development. You would have heard about this word. It's mostly an agile related terminology, right? So mostly test driven development and all of these are encouraged here. So we have identified all the scenarios, okay? And then you have written a test case here, okay? So there are 4 scenarios, okay? I'll click on run test. Okay, this is a very simple line of code. It should finish quickly, okay? So this is my environment or IDE, right? Developer environment. Salesforce also supports, if you are familiar with Java, right, using first or Eclipse. You can also use Eclipse as an editor, right, in Apex and Visualforce. So these are my test methods which are executed. All have successfully worked, right? There are no failures of a test class, right? And then it shows you the uh, code coverage, right? So I'll show you here. So we have covered the entire line of code. All executable lines have been tested using our test class here. So the good thing is your program or the code you write becomes error free, right? And unless you have a test coverage of 100%, okay, it is not a good idea to go to the next environment. But in Salesforce, they've given a mandate of at least 75% code coverage. across all your classes, right? So this is what this window is showing. So for this particular developer environment, the code coverage is only 10%, because we have probably not written test cases for all. But if you see the pass or fail test class, it is 100% tested. It has 10 lines and all the 10 lines have been tested. Okay. So it clearly shows the test path that you need to take. It highlights you all the scenarios, right? All the execution paths the code should take to achieve 100% test coverage, right? So this is one good thing about the platform, and it also has like your Salesforce Java programming, right? You have exception handling, you have all the standard data types, primitive data types, or collection data types like arrays, right? Lists and all that. So these are some of the features, and apart from this, you also have something called as chatter. So this is similar to your Facebook or Twitter feeds. I would say it's a combination of both. We typically for the training batches, right? So we kind of use this for encouraging people to get onto a chatter and then exchange information, right, with the teams, right? So this chatter also we extensively use for the training purpose. It's for mainly collaborating between different people to get an idea of how to do all of that, right? So with this, I'll just go to the PPT here, right? So just to understand what are the key building blocks and then what are the layers, right? So you have the app, we've seen the apps, you've seen the tabs, we saw a page layout, we saw object, right? So where each one of these fits in, the app tab page layout fits in the view layer, in the MEC layer, right? Model view controller layer, or object fits in the model layer. I've given you an example also, right? Like this, you can, if we created a field and a relationship, right? We created a master detail relationship. We saw some records. We saw an Apex trigger and a class. Of course, we did not see record. We did see some existing records of accounts and students. Maybe we didn't see a standard and custom controller, but that's also written in Apex. Okay, I can just show you here. So this is a Visualforce page, right? A standard controller. You can, this is similar to HTML. Okay, so this is another technical thing you have, Visualforce. If you observe it, if you observe it similar to your HTML, and in fact you can write HTML tags here. That's a good thing about this, right? I think bold is a B, right? B is a HTML tag. You can just write this, right? And then I think you can just do a quick preview how it looks, right? So this is how my page looks. Whatever I wrote, this is what it does. It gives me a list of records, right? And I can just do a multiple edit of records, right? Say if you select India, it will show the list of cities in India, like that. So this UI was generated using this piece of code, and without writing too much of any querying or anything. All of this has happened just with this, lines. And I won't say it is 13 lines, okay? I would say it is hardly 10 lines of actual code. And it has retrieved data from the database and shown it in this format. And I click save, all my changes also would have been saved, okay? That's the power of this particular piece of code. It doesn't have too much of programming in it, right? All of the things have happened automatically, okay? And of course you can write your own custom controllers. What I showed you is a standard controller which comes out of the box. So we'll show you a quick highlight of the certifications that are available, okay? So you can start off as an administrator. Let's say you're technical developer, designer kind of a profile. So this is the area you can concentrate. You can start as an administrator, then you can get into Sales Cloud, Service Cloud later, right? Or you get into advanced administrator. These are some options you have, certification options you have. These are external certifications, okay, provided by Salesforce. Let's say you are a developer, you want to be a developer, let's say you are more of a programmer, a technical person. You can pick these options. In fact, you can directly do Salesforce Developer 1, Developer 2, or you can start here, then move to 1, and then move to 2, right? So you can do that direction also, okay? And there are a bunch of organizations, including even Salesforce, which usually expects people to have completed these 4 plus at least this one, right? 5 certifications. And it's okay if you're not very comfortable with this part, right? But over a period of time, you can plan for this. So there are people who have done all these certifications. So these are some new certifications which have been introduced. Earlier it was called as Dev 401 and Dev 501, but they have split this into 3 certifications now in total. Okay, just to make it easy for people to have a different path, because Dev 501 initially was a little bit challenging for many, and the time taken was also more for the certification. It has multiple levels, but now they made it a bit simpler. The final one, the most wanted one, I think probably, I know 6 months back there are less than 100 architects worldwide. Probably they've changed some things here also. We don't cover anything here. There isn't any official training at this point of time from anyone. I heard Salesforce is launching some certifications here or some trainings here, but overall, this is something you gain by experience over a period of maybe 3-4 years, right? You can't directly do an architect exam, but these certifications, which are on the left or on the middle, right, are the typical options that people can take and try for the different jobs. Like I said, developer, of course, is definitely not an easy entry, but it's a very good place to get started for those of you who are in good experience in Java, JTV, and all that. Right. So what we usually do is we provide a combo course where we show you the basics of the platform as well as an insight into developer. So our course covers kind of 70 to 80% of the developer track, plus we give you 100% on the administrator track. There is an overlap in the curriculum. It's not that it's like administrator plus developer. It's more of a spread that is there, right? There is a good amount of common things everyone should know in the platform, right? Whether you are a developer, whether you are an administrator, you need to know basic things in the platform. So that's why we have provided a combo option. And of course, you can go also as a sales cloud as a or a service cloud consultant. Okay. So I think I'll stop here. Anyway, this slide will be shared with all of you. So if there are any further questions, I'll be. So there is a question from I think Jagdishwar. So I think you have some experience in Oracle and then Unix as well as Informatica, and then you're expecting what sort of path you would take. So I think if you're comfortable, getting into programming, right? So you can aspire for a long-term uh, developer track, but you can get started with admin or take the combo course, right? Then certification-wise, you can do first the app builder or the admin, right? One of them, because our training anyway covers both these areas, and then slowly you get an entry somewhere, right? With this certification and with some uh, of your overall experience also helps, right? Your business intelligence and data warehousing experience, and then you can slowly do the other certification. So typically, if someone joins Salesforce directly, right, even if they have 5-6 years of experience, they are mandated to do the first 4 certifications within 3 months. But I wouldn't suggest you try doing that because people already have some experience. But basically, you go with step-by-step approach. You finish off this foundation level course, then you go for the advanced developer part 1, part 2. There is one question on reports. What is the maximum limit of grouping we can do in matrix reports? Okay, I don't have an immediate answer on this on the number of groupings, right? Probably I'm not able to recollect on the top of my head, but definitely I'll get back to you on this, right? In terms of the exact number, I'm sure there is some limitation there, and we will take a look and come back to you. But the reports also give you a lot of flexibility. You can define custom reports, you can build dashboards, you can embed those charts and reports into your Visualforce pages, and all of that. And of course, there are certain limits in the platform in terms of number of objects you can have, number of custom fields you can have in the objects, right? So there are a good number of limitations that you should be aware of, but the numbers are very big. Say, for example, the number of custom fields you can have in an object is almost, I think, 500. I don't think you need 500 fields, right? And those are certain limitations. Okay, there is a question about sites.com fits into SFDC. So, see, site.com has a bit of legacy here. Uh, Say, for example, it was initially possible to just create some simple web pages, right, using Salesforce. You don't have access to the Salesforce post.com objects or any of this. You just build simple web pages. That's it. Uh, you can then you have another option called portals or force.com sites, wherein from the site you can start capturing data, store it in your database, and then you can continue using that. So recently, if you see the way things have evolved, right? So site.com or portals, all of these are now taken over by community cloud. They call this as Salesforce Community Cloud, wherein you can extend your Salesforce implementation to your customers, your partners, your suppliers, people outside your organization, right? And then continue to use it. So site.com, I would say at this point, it's more of a slowly becoming a legacy thing. But of course, there are customers who use it, and also there are customers who are using site.com plus some sort of a CMS, right? Content management solution combination. There are some products that are available. So that's how site.com fits into overall SFDC. There are a few questions in general about the fees and the duration of the course. So you can check the website edureka.co, or you can get in touch with your the marketing team or the counseling team, which would talk to you about it. Right? I'm sure you would have got some welcome emails and all with some contacts. So you can get in touch with them for the exact details. The details are available on the web page on the edureka.co. You can just search for SFDC combo course. You do have those details, but you can always have a discussion with our team. I think I answered this question about Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, the difference. And yeah, someone asked me about the job market in the US and India, so I think I've answered that. And yeah, you will be receiving the recording as well as the PPT from today's session. Yeah, there is a question about responsive web design. Yes. So uh, Salesforce has introduced this lightning pages, right? So how it works is, you can create this responsive pages which are automatically, adjust themselves for your, depending on your form factor of the device, right? Be it the browser or be it your tablet or your smartphone. So you can create, responsive pages. right? And also you have this concept of this SPAs, right? Single page application. So that also is very well supported in Salesforce. And the good thing in mobility is they also provide an option where you need not write your mobile code in native, right, Android or iOS. You can write it on the Salesforce platform and it automatically is available on both your platforms. And apart from that, if you want more customization, you can also use the SDK to develop apps on the specific platform, be it Android or the iOS. I think they're yet to provide support for the Windows platform. Yeah, there is definitely, I think what I see is there is a lot of inquiry about many different organizations about people who are trained and certified, right, to Edureka. So Edureka, I think you have an option wherein you can opt for the uh, job search or job guidance, right? So you do have that option. But definitely for someone who has more than 10 to 12 years, uh, there is a, I would say, you have two options. One is you learn this and you kind of, you have two paths. One is internally within your organization, you can see if you can switch into that, right? If your organization has a large Salesforce practice, or you can complete some certification, right? And see how you can combine your overall experience in certain areas plus the Salesforce knowledge and uh, try. It is, I'm not saying it's a straightforward thing for someone who is senior, but it's not an impossible thing also. I've seen many people who have more than 10, 12 years experience who are into some other technology, right? So they have slowly switched over. So it's a little bit of a planning and effort that is required. But I think there is enough scope for senior people to definitely make this switch over a period of time, right? Because the market is there, because the kind of growth that they're projecting, right? So there's a huge demand for people at different levels. And definitely this skill, this knowledge and the certification will be handy. If you keep trying with a proper smart plan, I'm sure you can be more successful. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, what are the competing technologies and tools for sales? So within, see, if you look at the within the cloud space, definitely, there are probably two reports that I don't know whether I have this in this slide. So from a SaaS perspective, right, software as a service, where they are the number one CRM player, uh, Microsoft Dynamics is probably a distant second, I think, as per one of the Gartner reports, right? I think I can share that. Maybe I think probably I don't have it here. Uh, so Microsoft Dynamics CRM is definitely one of the competitors, and on the PaaS, right, or more on the mobility layer area, right? So in mobility, of course, a custom development would always, like an Android or iOS, customers may feel it's more cost and cost effective and all that. But of course, in the enterprise mobility reports, which are generated report, which is released by Gartner, right, or the SaaS report, right, or the PaaS layer report. In all these three reports, Salesforce is the leading player in the Gartner Magic Quadrants. The rest of the other players are, way behind. If you take Siebel, I think Siebel is on the way down. SAP doesn't have anything on CRM much. They're out of the game. And slowly, Salesforce is also eating a lot into the PSA and ERP space. But of course, they can't definitely match uh, Oracle, ERP or SAP ERP, because those are all different set of things. But I think slowly, as the cloud becomes more and more scalable and platform becomes more stable and all, I'm sure there will be a lot of movement into this. Okay, so what are the other areas other than CRM where Salesforce is recommended for? So Salesforce, if you look at, right, so like I said, they're no more a pure CRM package. Okay, Salesforce, like I said, Facebook uses it or Groupon uses it for different purposes, right? And there are different players who have built products or applications on the App Exchange platform. Say, for example, Financial Force is one player. So they have the professional service automation and uh, maybe be a basic ERP also available, right? Then you have HR platform, hire to retain. So many of the horizontal functions can easily be put on Salesforce, and right, the sales and marketing and service cloud are the most important space in the CRM, right? And then there are some people who are using it for mostly the customer facing partners, right? Community cloud, partner portals, right? Customer portals. So mostly the customer facing space, right? Salesforce is definitely the leading player. Maybe we can take one more question before we kind of wind up. And if you have any questions after the session is over, I think you can always send in a mail to uh, the edureka contact that is available on the website, email ID, and then you can just mention that you have a specific doubt on SFDC or Salesforce from this webinar. So we'll be happy to reply to you, right? So thank you so much for attending this webinar. I hope it was useful, and then we're looking forward to having you in our courses. Thank you.